Today, inshallah, we will continue the characteristics of the Arabic letters. We agreed that when we talk about the air flow or the breathe, we have two characteristics, which are the hams and the jahr. But today, inshallah, we will describe another characteristic from other point of view, which is the sound. So today we are going to talk about the sound, just the sound, not the breathe, the sound. The sound, okay? So we should know that شدة, رخاوة, or توسط depends on the sound, not the breathe, as we mentioned before in the hams and jahr. Okay, so the Arabic letters in term of running sound or cutting the sound is strength in between and softness. Okay, so we have three groups. We have الحروف الشديدة, the strength, the شدة, and we have the رخاوة, the softness, and we have in between the moderate one, or الحروف البينية أو حروف التوسط. So let's start today. Number one, الحروف الشديدة, the strong letters make the sound cut. Okay, what does the strength mean? So strength or strong letters, we make the sound cut in this, like there is discontinuation of the sound, not the breathe. Okay, what are the letters of the ما هي الحروف الشديدة, the strong letters? They are gathered in أجد قط بكت, أجد قط بكت, أجد قط بكت. Okay, and they are called strong because the sound cut within reading them. So while pronouncing these letters, your sound is completely gone. Okay, so الشدة is the retention or the imprisonment of the running sound due to closing of the articulation point. Okay, so like when I say أد 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 or أ أ أ, the articulation point is closed then open. So at, ab, ad. Okay, these are letters of strength or الحروف الشديدة. So أجد قط بكت. As you can see, when I pronounce يأمرون, for example, the sound is cut, or أد يد يدخلون, for example. And the most clear form for this characteristic is when we have the letter is sakin. When the letter is sakin, it's the most clear form for this strengthening. Okay, so when we pronounce these letters, you will feel that the articulation point is closed. Okay, so the cut, there is cutting of the sound. This is the shidda. So shidda is the cutting or imprisonment or retention in the sound when reading the letter. As you can see this picture, this is what happened to the sound when we pronounce the strong letters. So the sound is imprisoned inside the mouth, okay, and then escaped after opening the articulation point. So the first thing, the sound is imprisoned inside the mouth and then escaped after opening the articulation point. Okay, ended up, of course, of giving the unique sound of these letters, which are gathered in أجد قط بكت. Okay. We agreed that the audibility, which is the jahr, is the retention of or imprisonment of the breath, and the hams is the running of the breath. Okay. So, and we mentioned that the حروف الشدة are gathered in this phrase أجد قط بكت. So we want now to join the two lessons together, but we said before that the hams and jahr depends on the sound, the breathe, and the shidda, رخاوة and توسط depends on the sound. Okay. Okay, so أجد قد بكت here, we want to determine which are the letters of hams and which are the letters of jahr. So if you see here, the hamza, جيم, دال, قاف, طاء, باء are حروف الجهر. كاف and ta are here. Okay, so these are حروف الهمس. Okay, الهمس. So yes, we have all these أجد قد بكت, أجد قد با. For here it's جهر. كاف and ta, and the only one that has air or which flow within these letters is kaf and ta. So kaf and ta are letters of hams. Okay, what is the state of kaf and ta now? We want to start with kaf and ta. Okay, let's focus on kaf and ta. So the what is the state of kaf and ta is having both strings and whisper. So kaf and ta is here and here. So kaf and ta are from the hams letters and are from the shidda letters. So they are having both strength and whisper. Okay, strength, so the sound is cut off. Whisper, so a lot of breathing flows. Okay, when we read these two letters, kaf and ta, yes, both are unique. Okay, why? Because they have what? Strength and whisper. So the beginning of the letter is strength. So the sound is cut off, and the end of them is whisper. So a lot of air escape. When I say ek, did you notice? The first thing, the beginning, there was strength, and at the end, there was whisper at ek. Lots of air escaped at the end. So for ta and kaf, the two things happened: shidda, strength, and then what? And then the hams. So shidda, the first thing happened, and then the airflow after closing, or after applying the strength to the letter. Okay, we let the whisper with allowing lots of breath run after opening the articulation point. Okay, this is for kaf and ta. So kaf and ta, at the beginning we have shidda. After we opened the articulation point, after closing the articulation point, we have whisper. Okay, this is for kaf and ta. Okay, now for this is for kaf and ta. Let's see here for ajid qat ba, for here, which are the jahar letters. Okay, the sound here is cut because it's shidda at the beginning, but when the articulation point is open, the sound is escaped. The sound, not the air, as in kaf and ta. So you get the idea. The sound in these letters is escaped and not the air. Okay, so the sound is escaped after closing the articulation point. Sound is produced, not the air, like we mentioned. Like it's unlike the ta and the kaf. Okay, we agreed that the letters in term cutting the sound or running of the sound are three groups. Okay, we have number one, the strength letters where the sound cut off. Number two, we have the soft letters where the sound is running. Number three, we have the in between them both, which is حروف التوسط, or we can say حروف البينية, and they are gathered in لن عمر. Okay, today inshallah we're gonna move to the next characteristic, which is the softness, which is the رخاوة. And what is the رخاوة? What is this? And the رخاوة is the complete running of the sound when we read the letter. Okay, so when we pronounce it, the reason for the running of the sound is the opening of the two opening of the articulation point. Okay, opening of the articulation point, and that's the reason why the sound is running. Okay, so for example, when I say yeah, nothing blocking the sound from running, it's freely running, and that's why it's called رخاوة. Okay, the letters of رخاوة, as we just mentioned, they are the letters that are not أجد قد بكت, which are the shidda letters. Okay, and they are not لن عمر letters. So the letters of softness are all the Arabic letters other than the soft letters and the moderate letters, which are the in-between letters. Okay, so for example, when I say ash, as, the sound is running, nothing is blocking the sound. Even ضاد has رخاوة. Okay, الله. The ضاد has رخاوة plus استطالة. Okay, now let's move to the توسط or the in-between letters. Okay, الحروف البينية, we call them another name to make the letter in between. Okay, this is the incomplete running of the sound or partial sound running. Okay, due to what? Due to incomplete closeness of the articulation point. So as we mentioned before, we have no complete blockage of the sound, nor we have complete running of the sound. So it's not this or not that. It's in between. The sound is partially running, and there are letters of Lin Umar. They are gathered in these letters. Okay. So for example, let's start with the first letter, the lam letter. Here we call it, we want to know the mechanism of the tawassut or the in-between letters. Why did we call it in between? Like in between what? So the first thing when I say al, notice that the tongue is elevated to touch or to hit the part of the gum. Al. So part of the sound, okay, is skipped here, al, and part of the sound is escaped from both sides of the tongue, and this is a tawassut. This is the tawassut. So some of the sound is inside and some of the sound is outside, and this is why we call it in between. Like the sound, some of the sound is inside and some of the sound is outside. So when I say al, even la, lu, li, al, something blocking the sound from being running, and something like some of the sound run and escape from both sides of the tongue. The noon, the letter noon, how will we apply the moderation, or how we will apply the in between? Okay, so part of the sound is kept inside when I say an, inside the mouth, and the other part of the sound escaped through the through the nasal passage. Yes, so this is the tawassut on noon. The next letter we have is ayn. So when I say ah, some of the sound kept inside the throat and some of the sounds came outside. Okay, this is for ayn. Meme, and is exactly like noon. Part of the sound is kept inside the mouth while lips are closed. And the other part of the sound is escaped through the nasal passage. Noon and meme through the nasal passage, as you can see here in this green area. Okay, that's the tawassut for meme. For ra, the last one, the ra, when I say arrow, part of the sound is kept inside behind the tongue, and the other half of the sound is escaping but through the opening of the mouth. So this is a tawassut for arrow, for ra, on ra. Summary again, I have 3 characteristics for today. الشدة, okay, الشدة, and we have التوسط, and we have الرخاوة. So الشدة is the strength, and التوسط is in between, and الرخاوة is the softness. So first, what is the شدة? The شدة, okay, and the opposite of it, which is the رخاوة, and the third characteristic is in between, which is the in between or البينية or التوسط. So the strength is, for example, when I say they are, what are the letters of شدة? They are gathered here in أجد, قط, بكت. And for example, when I say أد or أق or أد, okay, when I pronounce these words, the sound, you will figure out that the sound is cut. There is no running of the sound because we close the articulation point. Okay, unlike the رخاوة or the softness, here there is running of the sound. Here there is running of the sound because the articulation point is opened. Okay, the articulation is opened. And what are the letters of the رخاوة? They are the rest of the letters other than the letters of الشدة or the strength and the letters of التوسط which is in between. Okay, what is the in between letters? They are gathered in لن عمر or لن عمر. Okay, and they are gathered in لن عمر, so they are not from the شدة letters and they are not from the رخاوة letters. They are in between because why? Because the articulation point, there is incomplete closing of the articulation point.